It's a double duty day here on the Root Dog Show. Good afternoon, everybody. This is episode 166. Thank you for tuning in with me today. This is a podcast, but as you probably already knew, I'm headed to the Two Live Stews Entertainment Group, and this is going to be fantastic. I'll have live shows. I know you love the podcast, and that's great, and I can appreciate that, and your support is absolutely phenomenal. So thank you so much for your support. Of course, early this morning, I had interviewed Calvin Beach, and what a delight that guy is. But speaking of delights, I have a golfing delight. And when I say golfing delight, and I may not mean him necessarily, but if you don't read his book, you're going to find out that you're missing a afternoon delight. And of course, if you're on the course, which John will be a lot sooner. Oh, I let the cat out of the bag. Sorry, John. Anyway, Jon Decker joins me here on the show. John, thanks, man. I appreciate you following up with me and wanting to talk some more golf. Look, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. We're talking about the British Open. Augusta's going on. Your book is doing absolutely fantastic. So congratulations to you on that. Thank you for joining me this afternoon.
Thanks a lot, Rudy. It's great to be on your show, and it is a great week this week in golf. The third major, the British Open, will be starting at Royal Birkdale on Thursday, so I'm really excited to watch that.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about what's going on. British Open is certainly a part of this golf system that we have. Is played every single year, just like the British Open. So you have both of these going on relatively in the same time frame as one another. I look at the British Open, I think to myself, man, these are the times to be in. Who do you like in the British Open? Who do you think will lead early and who will fall behind, unfortunately?
Well, I was looking through today, just the field itself, and one name really sticks out to me, and that's Rickie Fowler. I picked him for the U.S. Open, but Rickie has been playing fantastic all year. I just believe that at some point he is going to win a major. I hope it's sooner rather than later, because I believe that he probably is in that conversation of being the best player in the world who has not won a major, which is kind of the dreaded label that a lot of players, Sergio Garcia had that label until he won the Masters. So he would be certainly one. Jon Rahm, who won it a couple of weeks ago on the European Tour, he hits it a mile. He's another guy. My favorite is Phil Mickelson. But then you go and you look at some of the other players, like a John Daly and David Duval and Mark O'Meara. These are past champions that get to play. I mean, David Duval he was the number one player in the world in the late 90s. He hasn't played golf. He's been on the Golf Channel. Now he's playing in the British Open. So I'm excited to see how those guys are going to do. The thing about the British Open is once the weather dictates everything, and you can tee off at 8 or 9 in the morning and have beautiful weather, and the guys that tee off at noon could be playing in a hurricane. I mean, it's just crazy how the weather changes over there. So I think, though, from what I've heard, the weather's going to be fairly good this week.
Yeah, I've always heard about the rampant weather during the British Open. I think to myself, they have, you have the London fog that rolls in. You have all these inner climate changes that happen from, par to par and hole to hole, and of course the course there, the British Open. You're talking about Rickie Fowler, and he's been playing golf for a very long time. You're talking about him not winning a major. How disappointing would that be? Look, you're a professional guy. You're trying to win a major. You've gone through all the bells and whistles. You've struggled mightily when playing tournaments, but somehow fall short. What does Rickie Fowler really need to do? Is it a mental fortitude situation? Is it his swing? Is it his knee bend? What is it that will make Rickie Fowler a winner?
Well, first of all, Rickie Fowler just needs to keep doing what he's doing, because the key to winning in golf is you have to keep putting yourself in position. It's a unique sport because you are playing, there's 156 people that are going to be teeing it up on Thursday. That's a lot of people. And you can play great golf. I mean, you look at Phil Mickelson, it was last year, and he played fantastic. He should have won that tournament, but Stenson just played a little bit better. So, you're ultimately out there playing the golf course. all he can do. I love his golf swing. I love the way he plays. I love his putting stroke. And I've had a chance to meet him, and he is a really, really solid guy. I think that, he's just a great face for the PGA Tour, and I hope he does well. I think that he's due eventually to win a major.
I do as well. Look, he started and ranked probably one of the best amateur golfers in 2007 for 37 plus weeks running. That says a lot about his character. Look, you can be told no's. You can be given the opportunities to win, but if you don't put yourself in that category, you're just another golfer. You're just another player, just another guy on the field. When you were talking about how he needed to continue doing what he's doing, is this a breakout game for him? And do you believe that he can win it all?
Yes, I do believe he can win it all. I mean, like I said, I've been picking him. A couple of years ago, I picked Jason Day. I thought Jason Day was ripe, and he came through for me. Ricky Fowler, I believe he was leading the U.S. Open early this year, and I picked him for the U.S. Open. It was actually the week of your show. I picked him, and I thought, man, if he could win the U.S. Open, when I was on Rudy's show and I predicted it, I'd be excited about that. But I really believe that he is going to win a major very soon, and it's just a very difficult thing to do. And there's been a lot of great players in their careers who've not won majors. So I'm pulling for him as well as Phil Mickelson.
Yeah, I think Phil Mickelson is the underrated favorite in all this because of his experience, because he's been there, done that. He's won plenty of majors. He's been in a lot of great venues, playing on some pretty tough courses, finding himself behind, but somehow battling to get back into the leaderboard and to be, maybe 4 under par, 5 under par. He's done these things consistently. Does Phil Mickelson give him a run for his money?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Phil Mickelson is going to be a favorite. I mean, it was a great story because he did not play in the U.S. Open because of his daughter's graduation, and I thought that spoke volumes. I even joked to somebody, one of my friends. I said, if I was Phil Mickelson in that situation, I would have probably given a nice donation to that high school to move that graduation up a couple of days. I thought that might happen, but I really, really think that he's great for the game. He's kind of like this generation's Arnold Palmer. He's very fan friendly. He plays aggressively. I mean, he tries shots that no one else would try, and that's why I love watching him play. I just think it's always exciting when he plays, and he definitely brings a lot of eyeballs to the television screen.
He does. He keeps the energy up because he's just that kind of guy. He has the profile, and I've seen him on the course, and he has his profile wherever the camera is at. He's got some type of facial expression, so he's very animated. I appreciate that about him. That's just who he is. That shows his resilience when he's down. You can see his emotions written all over his face. I've never actually spoken to Phil Mickelson. Maybe one day I'll get him here on the show, and you can join me on that show, John. You're talking about Sergio Garcia. Yeah, that would be great. And he's busy, obviously not available because he's playing the Open. But I look at Sergio Garcia and I think to myself, is this a Ryder Cup revenge? I mean, do you really see Sergio Garcia coming into this in a win all or nothing situation?
Well, I think the gorilla is off his back. I think that Sergio Garcia is playing with house money now. And when you're playing with house money, when you've got that monkey off your back and you have the confidence of winning at Augusta, which is arguably the most difficult putting situation that's what makes the Masters so difficult. The British Open is about dealing with the elements. I mean, dealing with just weather changes, wind changes, all the different things that can go on, dealing with the bunkers, dealing with the high rough. The greens are not nearly as fast there. But I think Sergio is tee to green, he's been one of the greatest ball strikers to ever play the game. And I believe that now that he has won the Masters, he now can just say, all right, I'm going to just put the pedal to the metal. I'm going to play with no fear. And who knows, Sergio may win 2 or 3 more majors in his career. I don't think he's done yet, now that he's won his first.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Matter of fact, it was just recent he was entered into the Spain's World Golf of fame. That speaks a lot for Sergio Garcia. Everybody remembers that 7-3 hole journey that he went on, which seems to be one of the monikers that will follow him throughout the rest of his career. I mean, how much of a comeback was that? I like Sergio Garcia in this. He has the, I'd hate to date myself here, but he has the moxie. He has the attitude, the personality, and he has the skill. I mean, if he's done it once, who's to say he can't do it again? I think that there's a lot going on right now. There's a lot at stake, especially for Ricky Fowler, as we had mentioned here right on the Rude Dog Show with Jon Decker, who joins me. I look at this as being a serious uphill battle for a lot of guys, even including guys like Jim Furyk, on the Masters. I think that when you look at him and you look at what he has done and what he's doing at this point, he couldn't be better. He could be playing any better golf right now. What are your thoughts on Jim Furyk? Does he retain, like, maybe in the top 5 situation there? I think we lost connection with you, John. We lost connection with you here. My apologies. Can't quite hear you there. I think Jim Furyk on the Masters is certainly a Ryder Cup type situation. We'll try to get John back here on the phone. But look, I look at it like this. When I think of the Masters, I think of Furyk. And when you can look at the Ryder Cup, you can say, you know what, Furyk did everything he needed to do. And in all fairness, I look at Furyk, and of course waiting for John to call back in. Are you with me, John?
I can hear. Yes, I am.
Okay, great. Thank you. So we're talking about Jim Furyk. Obviously, he was a captain at the Ryder Cup. Do you see him being someone who can continue the momentum and move on and maybe battle out here at the Masters?
Well, Jim Furyk has always won with his mind. I mean, he is a thinker around the golf course. He does not hit the ball real long. He has a kind of an unorthodox golf swing, which a lot of people wouldn't try to teach their kids. But he grew up, his father was a PGA golf professional, and that's who he learned from. And he's never changed his formula. I've always said, and this is what I wish Tiger would have done, is if you have a winning formula, you stick with that winning formula. There's a reason why the New England Patriots win Super Bowls. They have a winning formula, and they stick with it. I look at Jim Furyk as a guy who is certainly capable of winning another major. I do think, though, his window of time is shrinking, and I think that I think that his better days are past him. But in golf, all you need is one good week to change your life, and that could easily happen.
Well, you can count that hole by hole. The further you are under par, the better off you'll be. And I think Jim Furyk still has something left in the tank, and obviously something more to prove, not only to himself, but to everybody else who has followed him throughout the years.
I agree.
When we look at Augusta, such a historic, tough place to play. But what's even tougher than that is the likelihood that maybe even Tiger Woods will find himself back to Augusta. And the last time we had spoken, John, we're talking about the pitfalls and where Tiger Woods, and at that point, wasn't really headed to. But I look at Tiger Woods now and I think to myself, does he make a way back? Does he find a way to get back to greatness?
That is the million-dollar question in the golf world. I know that the golf industry is praying that he comes back. I think you first of all have to look at him as a man, and he needs to obviously get himself healthy physically. He needs to get his health, spiritually. There's a lot of things that he needs to take care of first in his own household as far as just getting well. That is the number one thing. Obviously, the golf world wants to see Tiger Woods come back. He's only 41. He's 41, I believe. That is, Jack Nicklaus won a major at 46. Phil Mickelson's won 5 majors after the age of 40. Tiger, if he could get healthy and come back, is certainly capable of reeling off 4 to 6 more majors and passing Jack Nicklaus. But the likelihood of that happening, I think, is very, very slim. And I hope that he can just get back, first of all. But I don't think if Tiger Woods feels like that he can win, he's going to come back. I don't think he's not there to cash a check and make a cut. He wants to win, and only he knows truly how he feels. And unfortunately, when you're dealing with back issues and you're dealing with a dynamic motion like golf, where you have the clubs going back in the backswing and the hips are turning to the target in the downswing, and you have that torque on the lower body and the lower back, it is very, very difficult to play pain-free if you have back issues. And you just look at a guy like Fred Couples, who's dealt with that for years. So we pray that he gets healthy, he gets his life in order, and he gets back out on the tour.
I do as well. I like Tiger Woods in a sense that I know he can return to greatness. The problem is that he hasn't. And whether or not, of course, you were talking about the $1 million question. I think it's a multi-million-dollar question. But you look at the history that he's had behind him. Can he repeat that to make people's minds change? I don't think that's something that's on top of his to-do list. I think it's more about getting back to some type of normalcy for him so that way he can get back into something that he is just so extremely good at and historically has been good at, talking about lower back pain and how that's prevented him from becoming as good of a golfer as he could have been. I don't know if he has enough time. I don't know if there's enough time left. Father Time is undefeated. And speaking of undefeated, your book is doing fantastic right now. It is selling like hotcakes. I hate to use that expression, but it's true. Tell me about the book and why do you believe it's doing so much better now than the first time we'd spoken?
Well, thank you, Rudy. I really appreciate it. My book, Golf is My Life, Glorifying God Through the Game. Originally, when I first wrote it, I wrote it as a way to kind of give back to the game of golf. I wanted to show how golf and life kind of parallel each other. But as time went on, as I rededicated my life to Jesus Christ, as I started going back to the church, as I started really changing as a man and getting my priorities straight, which for a lot of years they were not straight, as I started doing this in my life, I knew that the book was going to be a Christian book. And I think what has made the book successful more than anything is, yes, the golfers are going to love the stories about Tiger Woods and Payne Stewart and Seve Ballesteros and Paul Azinger and all the players that I write about and the stories, the personal stories I have with them. But where the book is really doing well is with the non-golfer. And that's what I'm excited about, because now I can go into churches. I'm going to be speaking this week. I'm going to Virginia, and I'm going to be speaking at a church and 4 golf shops. I have the ability, or golf pro shops. I have the ability to go to golf courses and speak to the members, and I have the ability to go to the churches and speak to the members. And that's a unique concept, because most Christian books are only going to be for the Christians, and most golf books are only going to be for the golfers. This book has the ability to transform, into both genres and really help bring golfers to Christ and help bring Christians to golf. And that's what I hope I can do with the book.
I'm sure you can. I guarantee. I mean, even when I was reading the book, I thought to myself, this is what a book should be. It had everything to do with how God is leading you, how God is changing your direction to lead you down the path that you need to go to. And look, the stories are great. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to write a book one day as well. But what's more important about all this is the change that occurs when you put God ahead of everything else. And I think to myself, how does this work? How is this going to affect my life, much less somebody else's? And I can testify to that. And obviously with you speaking in front of all these churches and in front of all the congregations and people and at golf pro shops, it's sending the message through your book, about how people should follow Christ and how this is something that works hand in hand that has helped change your life individually. So, hey, it's a great book. I'm like 90% done with the book myself. I haven't been able to finish the last couple chapters, but forgive me for that. Nonetheless.
No, I'm glad you're enjoying it, Rudy. And I know that God is using me. He is using me to spread His word. And golf is the hook. Golf is kind of the sizzle. There's a lot of great stories in the book as well that aren't about golf. They're about growing up with Brad Johnson, who was a high school basketball teammate of mine who went on to win the Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and sitting beside Brad Daugherty and going to high school with Brad Daugherty, the number 1 pick in the 1986 draft. So there's all kinds of great stories, basketball stories. I got a story in there about Gale Sayers, just, really great sports stories, but ultimately it's a Christian book, and ultimately that's the main purpose of the book.
That's really what it's about. Ladies and gentlemen, Jon Decker joins me here on the Rude Dog Show this afternoon. And go to envisionforyou.com. They have the best limo service possible. They actually took me to the ESPY Awards, which was a great experience to say the least. There, you want to ride in comfort, go to envisionforyou.com. I look at this, Jon, and I think to myself, how can this be? When I say how can it be, I'm more so relating to the list of events such as the Masters Championship. We're talking about the Masters, going back and forth between that and the British Open. You look at the Masters, and I think to myself, is this the best that the PGA has to offer this year? Is this a growing trend? Are there going to be more viewers in the game of golf on the larger scope? And do you feel as though golf is gaining more ground year by year?
Well, I think that your true golf fan is going to watch all of the majors. They're certainly going to watch those, and they're going to watch a lot of your big tournaments like your Muirfield, and the TPC and those tournaments. And your golf junkies are going to watch all of the tournaments. What makes the Masters unique is the non-golfers watch the Masters because of the tradition, because it's in the springtime. The beauty. Are you there, Rudy?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. But just because of all of the different things that the beauty of the golf course, they play it at the same venue. But for whatever reason, it's just a great television venue because it's just so beautiful. And everyone knows all the holes because they played at the same spot every year. The Masters is by far the most popular golf tournament of the year.
I think it is too, and there's a lot of money riding on this. Not that money is the end all, because it's not. Money does change people to the negative, unfortunately. I was talking about that earlier with Kelvin Beecham. But when we talk about the purse involved in the Masters, I think to myself, you have to be 9 under and hit $1,980,000. Sergio Garcia is in that first position, followed by Justin Rose at $1,188,000. My theory is this: if I'm going to go play and I win first and I win $1,980,000, I'm retiring. I mean, I'm not going to keep playing. I'm not going to keep playing to win. I mean, it's not really about money anyway. It's doing it for the love of the game. But I look at these persons, I think to myself, holy moly, how does this kind of money even come to fruition? How do these guys get paid? And is it all one lump sum, or do they get paid over time?
No, they get paid in one lump sum. At the end of the tournament. The thing that you have to understand about golf is professional golf is those guys are independent contractors. They don't have an owner. They do get sponsored by like TaylorMade and Titleist and Callaway and the different golf companies. So they get some money up front from those, and their clothing contracts and things like that. So that, they're getting paid to wear the clothes, they're getting paid to play the clubs and play the balls, which helps sales and stuff. So they do get money there. But when they go and they play and they fly to, say, the Masters, and there's half the field misses the cut, half the field doesn't get paid anything. So when you miss the cut, you don't get paid anything. When in the when you go play a football game, whether you win or lose, you're going to get paid. And so in some ways, golf is very, very difficult because of the fact that to get to that level, just to get to the level or on the PGA Tour is very difficult. And then when you get there, it's hard to stay there. And it's a very, very competitive business. So, when I look at how much, if you look at the top guys like the Phil Mickelsons and Tiger when he was in his heyday and Dustin Johnson, these guys who are making, $40, $50, $60 million, that is a lot of money. But then I look at Seth Curry and seeing how much he's making, and I'm like, wow, it'd be nice to have that guaranteed money over 4 or 5 years. I think he's got a little better deal than anybody on the PGA Tour, as far as I'm concerned.
You're right. No, I completely agree with you. There are so many great things going on. And look, everybody's an independent professional in whatever field they're in. If you want to work for an organization, that's fine. If you want to receive this type of money, you need to get into golf, especially if playing any other professional contact sports may not be your thing. Golf can certainly provide a big payout, as Jon Decker joins me. And the payout in of itself, Jon, so thank you so much for joining me here this afternoon on the show.
I'm having a ball.
Good. A little round white ball.
Yeah, hopefully it's in the fairway.
Hopefully the fairway and never in the rough. Anyway, hey, Jon, thank you so much. Tell everybody where you're going to be and where they can meet up with you at between the golf pro shops and the congregations you'll be being a part of this upcoming week.
Well, I'm going to be. I'm leaving to here in a few minutes. I'm driving to Richmond, Virginia, and I'm going to be speaking at the Reveille United Methodist Church there tomorrow. And I'm going to be all throughout the state of Virginia for the next 3 days. So one of the best ways to follow me is on my website, and my website is jondeckergolf.com, and it's JON DeckerGolf.com. You can order the book there. I have golf videos. I have about 30 golf videos up there. You can also follow me on Facebook. I have a fan page there. I put golf videos on that as well. And you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram as well.
I had a question from Nicholas Fusco. Thank you, Nicholas, for the question. So thoughts on Jon Rahm as an early favorite with DJ at the British Open. What are your thoughts on that, Jon?
I absolutely agree. In fact, I wrote a list of players that about 10 players that I thought were going to win, and Jon Rahm was the number one player I wrote down. He is absolutely perfect for this type of for majors. His power, when you have power, that is a big advantage, especially when you look over there. I was looking at the golf course. I went online in Royal Birkdale and just kind of went through the holes. And I'm telling you what, if you're not in the fairway, you're either in one of those bunkers, which is no picnic, or you are in some hay that's about waist high. And if you have power, you have a chance to play from, and get the ball out of the hay, because no one's going to hit the ball perfectly in the fairway all the time. Jon Rahm is definitely a favorite. I would think, I don't know what the Vegas odds are on him, but I'm sure that he's definitely one of the top 10 or 15 as far as that goes. And then Dustin Johnson, absolutely, again, another powerful player. I think that power is such an advantage. But I think a lot of it has to do with the luck of the weather. And if a group can go out, because everyone tees off on the first hole in the British Open. They don't do like the normal venues where you tee off on 1 and 10 on Thursday and then you switch on Friday. Everyone tees off on the first hole. And so there can be the guys towards the end of the day or the guys at the beginning of the day, you can get some bad weather, and that can affect a large part of the field. So hopefully the weather will be consistent for everybody, and that won't be an issue. But Jon Rahm is definitely a favorite.
No doubt. Hey, Nicholas Fusco, thank you for that question. That's actually a really good question. I think of weather, and I look at all the dimensions of how it can affect basically anything. Anything that's played in a golf course, everything short of a basketball hardwood, but out in the NFL as well as the NCAA playing football, and volleyball has a lot to do, and so on and so forth. But when you look at the weather, it has everything to do with your swing. We're talking about golf explicitly here with Jon Decker on the Root Dog Show. And I look at these swings, I think to myself, if you have, 15-mile-an-hour winds, how do you control this full-blown swing, reaching over your back with your knees bent and really making a full stride? How can you maybe do something to offset the weather effects, Jon?
That's a great point. One of the things that you have to do when you're playing in winds, and you have you have all different types of winds. You have wind that's in your face. You have wind that's behind you. So obviously, if it's in your face, you're going to lose distance. Behind you, you're going to gain distance. But what really makes golf difficult is when you get crosswinds. When a wind is blowing from left to right or right to left, that is when golf becomes difficult. And the great wind players have the ability to lower their ball flight. Now, if you're a golfer out there and you want to lower your ball flight, the simplest way to lower your ball flight is to take one or two extra clubs. So, for example, if you're normally hitting an 8-iron, pull out a 7-iron. And then what you do is you choke down a little bit on the grip, and then you make less swing. So you make maybe a half swing or a three-quarter swings. The golf pros call those knockdown shots. So what you're doing is you're trying to get maybe 75 or 80% of the distance out of the club instead of trying to hit it 100%. What you don't want to do in the British Open is have a high ball flight. That's why a guy like Ian Poulter, I think, is going to struggle. He has a really high ball flight. He puts a lot of spin on the ball. When you hit the ball high into the wind or with crosswinds, your ball is going to tend to go in directions maybe where you lose control. Now, if wind is not a factor, then Ian Poulter may play fabulous. But having the ability to lower or raise, lower your ball flight is very critical in the British Open.
It's kind of similar to that. I hate to use baseball as an analogy, but the more you choke down on it, the more of a shorter distance hit you're going to make. Same thing in golf. It applies there. So when your hands are further down on the pole, it doesn't allow for the full reach distance. Even if you were to try to put it over your shoulder, you're still not going to maximize your swing. Same in baseball. If you're choking down, you're doing the same exact thing.
Shorter lever is going to produce shorter distance.
Exactly. Very good, man. John, you taught me something today. And I need to start golfing. But first, before I do that and take someone's head off, what I really need to do is go to a striking range, a driving range, and practice. And if I slice one, well, at least it's not going to hit an oncoming vehicle at 55, 60 miles an hour. So just want to throw that out there. I want to be fair to everybody who's on and off the fairway, and I mean the driving fairway. Anyway, John, thank you so much, man. It's been fantastic. Thank you for joining me on the show. I wish you the best in your endeavors. I will pray for your book to continue doing exactly what it needs to do, which is to sell, to get the word out there, to let people know that you are an accomplished author. And I definitely appreciate your time in being here today. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Rudy. You have a great day and enjoy the British Open this week.
I will definitely do that, and I'm going to try to catch both. I'm gonna try. I really am. I'm gonna give it the old college try. Then again, there's no college golf. Right. Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Take care. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Jon Decker, this guy has so many things going on for him. It's not even funny. Thank you for your input. Thank you for your viewership. This is Rudy Reyes on the RootDogShow.com.